Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the next installment of our interviews with the contributors of our Kickstarter, currently live right now with Jack as well as myself, who are both contributing to this awesome Kickstarter, aka What the Gnomes Know. There is a link already happening in our banners. Let me go ahead and engage this technology that we have. That's so awesome. Look at that Kickstarter from Canaanite. That's the publisher, and it's What the Gnomes Know. Basically, any type of story that you can think of regarding gnomes might feature into this anthology, because I can tell you it's coming from a different set of creators, multiple teams, multiple stories, and the commonality theme is gnomes. But how these creators approach gnomes, how they create these stories, are completely different from one another. And there are different formats as well as mostly comics, but there's a little bit of prose, a little bit of long form poetry with nice images, but and some stretch goals that are really awesome. So first, let me go ahead and greet our guest. That's Jack Wallace, aka Disposable Fiction. Hey Jack, how's it going? How are you?
Good, Hunter. How are you doing, man?
Doing
How's it
all
going
right.
today?
It's a Monday. It is a Monday, and
Yep.
I'm here. Allegedly, maybe I'll wake up and this will be a
Hopefully.
dream. I don't know, but yeah. So let's just go check real quick before we get into the interview and start talking about process, how our story came about within this anthology, and talking about your career and other things that you're involved with. Let's go ahead and just take a look real quick for our audience. We're obligated to pull our Jerry Lewis out of our pocket and check out what the Kickstarter is at currently. So when I go to my little tab here of what the Kickstarter is, right now we're sitting at $2,229 with 39 backers and 23 days to go. Our goal at the minimum, just to get this funded, to get over the finish line, is $2,500. That's not counting any stretch goals. And I'm telling you, you want to see these stretch goals that we have in store for you. So $2,500 is the end goal of trying to get to the finish line. And then after that, we start going for those stretch goals. So I would love to see that number go up at least by $100 in the next few minutes. No, that's not realistic. I'm kidding. Within the hour, let's see if we can get that thing moving. Let's just get that moving. If all you can do was $1, that'll help. You know what? It helps the algorithm, pay attention, say, hey, look at me. We're trying to get noticed here. If you want to just share our campaign because money's tight, understand. But if you want to avoid going to that Black Friday sale, getting that big screen TV and putting some money in the pockets of comic creators and getting yourself a nice thing to read, this season, then I would suggest back in this Kickstarter. Okay, back to the interview. Let's go ahead and you know what? I'm a victim of many tabs open, so I'm gonna cut some of these tabs off real quick. So no, we don't need the hip hop one right now. Sorry, I should have done this before, huh? Yeah, I'm kind of nervous if I don't have enough tabs open, so that's kind of like my safety blanket. So,
I really
but
do love the names of these Kickstarter tiers, though. They really nailed the names are hilarious.
yeah, let's
The
go through this real
Midnome
quick
train
then.
to Georgia.
Yeah. You know what? Let me go ahead and share the screen, and that way, a good thing I got rid of some of these tabs, right? And let's check out let's check out the tiers. Let's see what you're going to get if you actually happen to join up and pledge this Kickstarter. We're also joined by a few people in the chat. We've got Ned Flanders, we got Ben from Canon Right. So hey Ben, how's it going? And let's go ahead and do the presentation thing. I'm gonna sit there and share screen. Okay, I don't know what that means. So all right, so Chrome tab is what I want to share. I want to share what the gnomes know. All right, here we go. Okay, I should be sharing right now. All right. So,
Hey, look
oh,
at
look at
that,
that.
ticking up
All right,
so
nice.
quickly.
We have movement. We have movement. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the Kickstarter and start scrolling through and checking out these names of this Kickstarter because they're pretty funny though, and I know people had fun coming up with them. So is my screen moving?
Yes.
Okay, so here are the titles of the stories. We have Noir with the Silent G, okay, by Angela Boyle. Now you can check this out yourself too if you don't want to if you don't like my pace of scrolling. Just Your Garden Variety Adventure. That's by C.M. Clements, illustrated by Kelly L. Swan. I don't have my readers on. Moving on, we have Necronomicon, which is a great name. All right, Necronomicon. I believe that's by Ariane McCrae and Rainer Canistine. No Man's Land. Look at these. Even the titles are kind of punny, and I love that. Let's see. Ian and Clush. What's that?
So that's a fantastic splash page too, though.
Yeah, definitely. So, a gnome by any other gnome, a name, excuse me, and that is Kaz. Sorry, my scroll middle finger's not working. I may have been using it for something else. No, I'm kidding. I haven't been driving that much today, so my middle finger's got plenty of rest here. Kaz, GM Lucas, and Eddie J. O'Neill are the creative team right there. The Trial of Buck Regal. I don't know whose artwork that is, but they should fire him. Actually, that's my artwork. Never mind. Keep me employed, please. So this is actually is a story that Jack and I worked on together. Jack is the writer, and I am the artist allegedly. So Jack Wallace, who we're talking with, J.M. Hunter, that is me. Sometimes I'm Johnny, sometimes I'm Hunter, sometimes I'm J.M. Sometimes I don't even know what day it is. So no pizza. Who's calling me? Okay, sorry. I don't know how do you go to ignore?
The little red button, I think.
Yeah, so my friend is calling me. I should go and drop our link in there and say, tune into the podcast if you need to reach me. Come and hit me up in the comments section. So, but probably want to make sure I learn how to video edit. I haven't learned that yet. If you're listening, my friend. No Pizza by Catalina Ruffin or Ruffin, or I think it's Ruffin. Gnome Armor. I mean, we're already like past a lot of stories, so you're getting like a whole nice bundle of stories here. Thistle. And look at how cute this is. This is so charming. Okay, who is Cannon Wright Productions? That is, I believe it's Ben and Ian. Rainer.
And then Rainer.
Not Ian. Yeah, Rainer. And you know what? You can learn more about them as well as their first Kickstarter, first volume, which is Less Than Secret, a cryptic comics anthology. And if I'm not mistaken, that other anthology is also located somewhere within these rewards if you pledge to that. So you can get both anthologies as well as some other ones. Stretch goals. So we can get to past that 2,500 and get to 3,500. Then we can do a Q&A where we can have people engage with the creative teams of your preference. And then going to 4,500 is the behind the scenes where we can give you all the good the good gossip, the good gnome gossip and stuff like that. Rewards initially are $10 for a PDF. Just by supporting, with the digital level, you can get the PDF, a nice thing that you can watch and read, not watch, but read on your device of choice. $30 gets you the paperback, and $60 for that hardcover. Because you know how us fans of gnomes and Tolkien and things of fantasy like to go. We like our hardcovers. $120 gets you that special edition. And then we have early bird specials. Early bird specials are $40 and $70, etc. Add-ons are the gnome sticker pack, a cover poster, Less Than Secret, that anthology I just mentioned, PDF, and then you get the paperback options. So you have add-ons as well as different tiers. Okay, now where are those? Now you mentioned the tier names, right? Did I just go through that?
Yeah.
Okay.
To that part slightly to the right.
All right. So updates. No, hold on.
You see where it says support and pledge without a reward?
There we go.
You got it.
Yeah, I've never Kickstarted before. I'm joking. Okay. Let's get to these puns. Jack, you want to name them off as I roll by?
Like a rolling gnome.
At the $10 mark.
$10 mark. Yep. Somebody that I used to know. Number 30. That's a brilliant one.
Yes.
The early bird special, which Ben is telling us ends at midnight tonight.
Okay, so you got till tonight. So
That's
we're
right.
already on Eastern time. We're already on at 7 o'clock. So don't wait to turn into a pumpkin. Pledge now, please. Okay. Okay. What else we got?
Min Gnome Train to Georgia. That is probably my favorite tier name. Perfect.
Okay. And then another early bird special that I assume has only 9 hours to go. So what number are we putting on this one?
$70, I think. Early bird special.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. And then oh wow, what is this? Like
Swift Neblin, gonna give you up.
Okay, and that's $120, not a Rick roll, and not a Rick gnome either. So not a gnome named Rick. Okay, moving on to our and our last early bird special is. Oh,
Uh,
wait, there's no special name for this. Okay, if you're
Early Bird
watching,
Special Edition. That
okay,
is it.
that's not going to work for me. I'm sorry. I was in the mood. We were on a roll. We are on a, we are rolling with the gnomes, and then we come to this one. If you are in the comments section, if you are listening right now, I want you to put in a different name. We can't change it on the Kickstarter because that's set in stone, but we can come up with what it should have been in the comment
Mhm.
section. This is the engagement part of the podcast. Come up with a name for our $130 early bird special edition, because this is very special. So we should come up with a special name for it, don't you think? So
Off the
throw
top of
that
your
in
head,
there.
what do you got, Hunter? Just off the
What do
top
I
of your
got?
head.
So this is like the special edition.
Hmm.
So hold on. Okay,
Oh,
tell you what, give me a little bit of time, and I'll come up with one before we tell you what. If we
I
can
here
come up, you got one?
mine would have
Okay.
been Go Big or Go Gnome.
Oh, that's
Or-
nice. I like that one. That was a keeper. That's a
Yep.
keeper. Okay. Let's see. 2,239. If we get to 2,250, I will come up with a special name, one of my own. But you, dear listener, are already allowed to start dropping in the comments what it should be. And then you'll make it harder for me to come up with one if you start dropping in the comments. And then I have to really think if we get to that 2,250 mark in the next few minutes. Okay. Okay. Let's
Bob threw in with a horse with no gnome,
A
which I
horse with
also
no gnome.
that's
Yeah.
pretty good, Bob.
So, okay, so that's a good one. All right, never going to give you up, never going to let you down, never going to turn around and hurt you. Okay, so yep, Ned Flanders is singing the song already. So, okay, we got the early bird special. I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and we're going to go ahead and get back to this interview with Jack. So, Jack, for those that don't know you, um, give us a little bit of backstory of who you are and what you do, and where you're from.
Okay. From Columbus for the most part. I grew up some in uh, Springfield, Ohio, so slightly out west, in between Columbus and Dayton. Um, did that for a long time. Have been here in Columbus for, oh man, good question. A lot of years, I would guess. I mean, I went to college down at OU for a little while and then came back. So we've probably been here for 14 years, something like that, on
Okay.
there. Um, and let's see, so I started writing comics in college. I had been doing kind of, I always was more fascinated with writing than I was with the actual art part of it. I thought it was going to be easier than I thought it was. And so kind of went in whole hog and played with it for a bit and started writing some stories, just short stuff. And then turned a lot of those short scripts that I'd been working on for a long time into an anthology of my own, which was just a one man show of, and I got a bunch of different artists and a couple letters and stuff. Put together an anthology, and then loved it, had a great time, really just fell in love with it. And then decided to do it again with a second anthology, another, and and then with that one we kind of I ran it as a web comic for a little while. Um, from there, I did another couple graphic novels. One of them was called Frankenstein for Mayor, which is uh, in short, the elevator pitch is that Dracula is the current mayor of Transylvania. Uh, Nobody really likes him. He really only does stuff for the vampires, and the witches and werewolves kind of get tired of him, so they raise Frankenstein from the dead to get him to run it in the next election. Um,
Nice.
we did that. We in between there we did and I think the last book I worked on was a book called Chimera, which was a all ages adventure tale about four kids who travel to an island in which they are turned into their deepest fantasies. So one kid wants to become a jungle animal, another kid becomes a robot, another kid becomes um, a superhero, and the last one becomes a king. And they all get to kind of live these fantasies, but there's a Charlie of the Chocolate Factory, if you will. Her name is Izzy, and she kind of is the one who grants them powers. And in order to for them to be able to leave the island, they have to kind of defeat her in like 4 different tasks. So it's kind of a
Okay.
that's the general elevator pitch.
So this Chimera, is that in all ages or general audience? Like,
yeah, it's all ages. Yep.
okay.
Yeah, I gave it to my nephew who was 9 or
cool.
8 or 9, and he really loved it. So yeah.
Okay, so if you're looking for all ages book or age friendly books, and if you're wanting to get your kids reading or someone that just enjoys that type of entertainment, then that seems like it's a book that's good for everybody. So Jack, where can they find these books? Let's go ahead and let them know where they can find and your anthologies if you still have those in print.
Yeah, they're all available on my website. In fact, you can read a lot of the stories for free on my website. I think all the anthology stuff, all the short stories are available up there for free. It's disposablefictioncomics.com. You can check that out. I've also, we've also got the Columbus Scribbler, which is a free comic book newspaper. Or unless you want to lead into it, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so we'll get to the Scribbler in a bit because we have some news regarding the Scribbler. Okay. So let's check back in with our Kickstarter real quick. Let me see if that's moved or not. Let me see if I might have to come up with a name on the spot. I totally just forgot I had to do that. So you would think I'd be thinking about it in the back, but oh no, I'm safe. The number is not raised. It's only a 2,239. So unless we get to 2,250, I don't have to come up with a name.
No,
darn. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, so Disposable Fiction Comics right here on the ticker on the bottom. So let me go to this Disposable Fiction real quick. And as Jack said, most of these stories are available to read on the website. And I'm looking, and there is a whole gallery full of comics here to read. So Jack, if I were to put you on a spot, which one is the one that matters, has the most meaning for you? Just like pick one. Is it the first one? Is it something else? Something like, for our readers, like, what would you say has the most meaning for you out of all these?
Boy, that is tough. My personal favorite, the one that I like the most, is Hell House, but that's because I am a horror fan, and I really enjoyed doing the story for that one. I think the art came out really well. It's very kind of ethereal. I also really like the Chosen Rider story, which is more kind of like more of a Sons of Anarchy tale, if you are. So it's kind of built after a group of friends of mine that we were all, played video games together. We played GTA quite a lot when I was writing it. Those would be my first 2 picks, depending on what your feel is. Not everybody's into horror, which I understand. So,
gotcha. Okay, so that's 2 to 3 suggestions already right off the bat. And again, if you go to disposablefiction, comics.com, make sure I said that right. You'll get to check out all these and sample. Like, again, you can spend a lot of time on here. Jack, I think you are leading by example, and I'm looking at your example here of the website with all these stories available for free to read. Are they available for free to read? There's not a paywall or anything in this particular. Look at that. So I think that's the right move, in today's competitive market, is to build up a nice catalog of library, and then they can always buy the physical edition, if it's in print at your table when they see you, or okay.
Well, and if you don't make a sale, the last thing you usually do is be like, oh, well, also if you're interested, you can check out these on the website, and you give them a credit card or something. So at least they might check it out for free.
Yeah. I mean, and if they end up reading your stuff, then that's possibly a person that might come back for the next time you do create something. So, I would love to have a spread and gallery like this full of just material and comics like that. I think I'm going to take notes and maybe work towards that goal. That's really cool. Yeah. You know what? Let me just quit talking about and show our listeners real quick what I'm talking about. So if you are a creator or want to be a creator, I would really recommend that you check out what Jack is doing, leading by example, as far as having a good, good selection of material for people to check out, and then, you can sell your $1 million idea to somebody later on, because this just gives them, look at all this stuff right here. All of these available comics to read.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. We each story is done with a different artist, so the style kind of changes with each one, which I think is a lot of fun. It kind of working with it kind of helped me learn about people's strengths and
Mhm.
you know, how to adapt an art style to a writing style to figure out what people want.
I'm counting the I'm counting them right now. I used to be doing this. 16, 17, 18. Do you already know? 19,
How many of them?
4, yeah,
Um,
5 to 6. I can't count by the way.
well,
31, 32. Okay, there's about 30 comics on here. Okay,
yeah.
most of them in color, a bundle in black and white, and then there's previews to the graphic novels on the bottom right here. So with the Frankenstein for Mayor that we just talked about,
Mhm.
very cool, very inspiring to the point where like I definitely am taking notes, and I think I got my work cut out for me. We got Ethan from our CX3 group, Columbus Cartoonist Coalition. Sell me on some gnomes, boys. Okay, so what's great about these gnomes is that gnomes come in all sizes and all genders and whatnot, and and we got gnomes, we got gnomes that identify as boys, gnomes that identify as girls, gnomes that probably are identify as just strictly gnome. Um, and let's check out the Kickstarter. Oh, it hasn't moved. I don't have to come up with a new title. Okay.
Let me
But
ask you this: what do you think gnomes look like in your brain when you were doing the art for this picture?
mhm.
What did you think about, like, when you were thinking about what gnomes look like? What was your kind of initial take?
So I wanted to do like gnomes that were like come in all shapes and sizes, like in variety and multicultural. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Um, so, but given the format that we worked in with the blue on top of the thing, it may not be as visible because there's also smaller of which each gnome is. But I did change the sizes and all. The slender one,
Hmm.
make a slender one. And I just kind of based them off of personality from what your script was, I mean, so you were speaking about learning how different artists work and all that, and
Yeah.
having and all that experience. I mean, obviously with me, you kind of got a whole bunch of experiences because um, I'm the kind of creator that just is like at first, like that first idea isn't going to stay the first idea because by the time I'm done, I probably had like 10, 20 more ideas. Like, what I could do
Right.
instead, do this, do that. And then it's just like keeping up with me sometimes it can be its own, part-time job. So shout out to you for actually being able to be like water and flow with me. So, yeah, that was pretty funny, but we're almost at the finish line.
Yeah.
All the pages are drawn. We're going to modify 2 panels because we found some better looks for them. And then we're going to see if one more embellishment works on these set of pages, and then by the end of this week those should be done, and I think that's our part is done, other than talking about the
Mhm.
Kickstarter, and maybe I might do a sticker pack. I'm feeling like I want to do some stickers with some gnomes.
Nice.
I enjoy drawing gnomes so much to the point where I still kept drawing them and creating gnomes for some other projects I was working on, just for my personal projects. I was like, these are fun to draw.
Yeah,
So
your gnome sketches were amazing. I really like
yeah,
those.
yeah, thank you. I just want to draw gnomes with dreads, with curly mustaches, with like weird different knitted hats and everything like that.
I remember you talking about were gnomes too, which I thought was a
Yeah.
great idea.
Well, I can't take the credit for were gnomes. One of our other contributors, Acid, is the one that basically coined that were gnome. Was it Alex? I think it was
I don't
Alex.
remember, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
I do remember. I do remember
yeah.
somebody came up with that idea.
Yeah. So, and then once they said were gnomes, I was like, oh, I want to draw were gnomes. So we are offering gnome stickers as an add-on. So guess what? That's not necessarily a stretch goal. You'll still be able to put that on at the end of your pledge when all is said and done. So why gnomes? Why gnomes? So the question is why did we choose gnomes? Um, you know what? Ben could provide some feedback in the comment section about why we strictly went with gnomes. I love fair folk and fae and lore. So I was already sold on gnomes, and I've already drawn gnomes before because I had a concept called Gnome Hunter, where
Hmm.
there's a kaiju gnome that's really huge and all that. Like this isn't my first nomeo or excuse me, rodeo. I don't know how to say nomeo. Yeah. See, I'm already failing. So Alex did bring up were gnomes. So Alex will be in an interview on Thursday. So come back here and ask Alex about the were gnomes. But why gnomes? For me, gnomes was just like in the ballpark of where I like to play when it comes to folklore,
Hmm.
with fae and fairy and fair folk and things of that nature. But what enticed you to do something for this? Why'd you join up?
Um, I joined up because it was an opportunity to kind of be a part of a cool anthology with a lot of people that I liked in it. I know, I knew Ben, I knew Kelsey, I knew a lot of the people that were in it, and you, and I thought that would be a lot of fun to just kind of even whatever it was going to be. I think they knew what gnomes were it was going to be gnomes, but my intention was really just to kind of hang out and see what it was like and just be part of the crowd. So I was very thankful to be asked to be part of it. And I think I think my really only experience with gnomes, I was trying to think back about like what experience do I have with gnomes, and the only thing I could think of really was that do you remember that show David the Gnome?
I knew you were going to bring that up because that's what I thought about too. Is David the Gnome on
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
The Fox. Yeah. So sorry, I needed water, but
no, it's good.
Yeah,
no, that was like one of the first things I thought of was just like this perfect gnome thing. Just great.
So Ben's provided the origin of the anthology and why that theme came about. So when we were making Less Than Secret, we talked with the group about possible future prompts. When we suggested gnomes, there was instant excitement, and I can agree that caught my. I was like, what, gnomes? I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. And then I also wanted to work with you. I wanted to work with the writer. I didn't feel like generating a new story because I come up with too many stories, more than I can keep up with. And I was like, it'd be nice to not have to take on the writing and just take direction from someone and focus on the art. And then, and you and I had been circling, each other for quite a while in regards to maybe working on something, maybe not, stuff like that. It's just waiting for the right project. And I was like, hey, what are you doing? And then, and then I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And you came up with a cool story. Go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, and I think it was kind of like, working in like a little bit like the school football, like the school kickball teams where everybody else, I think a lot of other people already had partners that were already, they were already involved. And it was just, and you and I looked at each other from across the classroom and we're just like, yep, what up?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm glad it worked out because the story.
No, me too. Yeah, it was great.
I think was really fun. It was funny because I was so close to it, like looking at it here and worried about the layouts and stuff like that, that I needed to reread the script and pay closer attention because Jack kept telling me, and I just had gnome earmuffs on or something. You know what I mean? That it's not a Christmas story, and I was just stuck on stupid or stuck on Santa. You know what I mean? Because I kept throwing Christmas trees in there, or holly leaves in the background. I mapped out this whole layout. And then Jack was like, "Oh yeah, why is there a Christmas tree?" I was like, "Oh, because I probably came up with some reason, right?" And because in my head, I just kept picturing this character walk into this room, this apartment that he hasn't been in. And a little bit of spoiler. I won't spoil the whole thing. In quite a while, fresh out of the joint, walks into this apartment, and there's a big old huge Christmas tree in there. Right. I don't know why I kept thinking that. I don't know why it was just stuck on like a default. And then finally, I got to drawing. I was drawing layouts, and then you're like, "Yeah, but there's still a Christmas tree." I said, "What do you mean there's still a Christmas tree?" "Yeah, of course there's a Christmas tree." So please communicate with your writer.
I mean, gnomes and elves. It's like it's very close. Yeah. I understand the confusion. It's
so
close to it.
And then and you know what sucks is I looked up all this reference for Christmas trees and realized how much of a pain in the butt they are to draw. And I didn't really want to draw all the ornaments and all that. And I was like, it was just like I was feeding myself like a bunch of coal, just like what is wrong with me? And then finally, you're like, yeah, it doesn't have to be a Christmas tree. It's not supposed to be a Christmas tree. It's not a Christmas story. I'm like, of course it's a Christmas story. They're all Christmas stories. But no. But then I was like, wait a minute, I can draw like a weird, gnarly, windy tree with these weird like knots on it that I've always wanted to draw. That's my favorite kind of tree to draw. And I was like, oh, so cool. And then once I got past that part, everything just started unlocking. And I was just like, bam, 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 bam. So, but so let me see. Ben has something to say about gnomes and scabs. Ouch.
That might be right.
But yeah. So anyways, it was fun. Our character, we've got 2 characters that are front and center, but we've got a few characters in there. But our main character was really fun to figure out because I did so many different renditions of that character to try and get to the point. It was like Elvis meets what's his name, Colin Farrell,
Mm,
meets like Fred Flintstone. I
right.
meets a greaser rocker guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That
just
was kind of
yeah.
what that was exactly right. I mean, he kind of got I mean, the idea is that he's not supposed to be a great guy. It's
No.
the general gist is that it's about a guy who gets out of prison and wants to and walks into his old apartment after he's been there for after he just got out of the joint, only to find that it's been inhabited by a secret gnome village now. So,
Yeah. Exactly. And yeah, and it's a really nice arc. There's why can I only see text and not others? Let's see my text. I don't know, Ned. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that might be a Twitch thing. I'm not really sure. I don't know the answer to Twitch. I'm new with that. So yeah, it's kind of a redemption story, and at the end of
mhm.
the day, it's like how do these two these two cultures come together, and coexist. And I think a lot of people are still trying to figure that out in this day and age. And
Hmm.
so um yeah, I had fun drawing it, and we got to do some experimental things with it,
Yeah.
So
When
once we got go ahead.
Well, I was thinking like I'm everybody kind of approaches a project a little bit differently too, and
Mhm,
especially when you're somebody who's like dealing with so I've interviewed a lot of creators about a lot of different stuff, and it's strange how much different everybody is in their procedure, from their process, from how they go from one thing to another. And
mhm,
I always find it really fascinating when somebody does their own stuff between just like, oh, you start out with this, do something, I think most of the people that I've met who do all their own stuff, they don't usually do a full script first.
mhm.
They
Yeah.
have like just blank, and they have a blank page, they have a general idea, they'll lay out panels, and then they'll kind of write in what they're going for, and which is great for them. They're you're able to just kind of stick figure it out, and then adding the captions throughout that. But usually it's like a layout and then thumbnails and something. But after that, there's not usually the full page scripts. I always think that's kind of interesting how everybody does it a little bit differently.
Mhm,
Do you, when you're working on your own project, do you have
mhm.
any particular
Yeah, I
process?
call it the shorthand method. You can pretty much describe it, but I would add to that, at least for me, when I'm working on my own stuff, that even the final art isn't the final art until it's actually finally drawn and put on the layout, and inked. Then it's not
Hmm.
final because sometimes I change things then for good or or for bad or for ill. And what I'm finding now is that I don't want to work all the time shorthand. I do want to go back to full scripting, or at least Marvel plot style my scripts and dialogue. So that
Hmm.
way, when I'm running low on energy, I have that default to
Hmm.
prop me up, and it's less brain power, especially when I have a lot of brain fog with some of the issues I have, less fuel. And I can sit there and just rely on that's already set in stone, and I can just kind of like, just work on just drawing and craft and process as opposed to committing more brain power to something I haven't figured out yet. It's a lot more effort that you have to put in if you're going by the seat of your pants, and you are
Hmm.
prone to changing on the fly, and sometimes it's not the best decision. Sometimes it's just that mood you're in. So there's some things where I
Yeah.
still want to work that way organically, I guess you could say, with maybe zines or mini comics. And there's some other things where I'm like, this deserves to have a little more fleshed out, take my time a little bit and really, figure this out, where it's going to go and how it's going to look, you know,
Right.
especially when I'm low energy on those days where I know I'm not going to have a lot of you know, good health or energy. That way I can rely on that. When I write for somebody else, however, I do full script, so
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I like writing for other people too. Like the next couple of anthologies, it would be cool to flip and write instead of have to draw.
Sure.
Just so I can stretch those wings too. But yeah. So to answer your
See,
question,
I
it's a shorthand.
that's one. So I like, and I even doing scripting and stuff. Like I've had it happen enough times to where I know that I need to finish my script before I would be willing to even have somebody start on it, because I've had it happen where you start doing it for a little while, and then 3/4 of the book later, once you've already gotten down that road for a very long time, you run into some sort of problem and you have something that you need to, oh, I wish this character had wings or something that would be able to do it. And that way, and that it's a lot easier to be able to go back and be like, oh, well, now I can just write in the project description initially of like, now they have wings. And so we just go from there.
Mhm.
Or in the character's description, whereas I can only imagine if you've kind of drawn it out, then you have to redraw that
Mhm.
character time and time again, and I can only imagine that would be. But I don't know that such is the life of a writer versus artist.
Also, professionally and industry-wise, if I ever wanted to query like an agent or publisher, they're
Mhm,
gonna want a manuscript, almost like the character Bible. They're gonna want all those resources anyways. So it's like I can either do the work now and be
mhm,
comfortable and everything fleshed out, and I have that as a default to rely on when I'm low energy, but also I have it ready in a professional capacity should I need to share these materials with somebody else. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So that was also what led me to think that maybe I should go back to committing to doing fully fleshed out scripts or with all the ingredients, so that way I have all that material for the projects I would want to get published, like
mhm.
professionally. Even though I mostly self-publish my own, but I mean, yeah. So that's also it was a matter of just industry standards also why I decided that maybe it is time to do a little bit of A and B. So
Yeah,
yeah,
having those character Bibles, I think, really help you in your direction for what you're trying to go for.
yeah.
Um, I think when you're even if you never looked at it again, I think just doing the brain work of knowing where your characters are coming from, what their current
Mhm.
moods are, it gives you so much more help and benefit later on down the lane when you're like, oh, I wonder what they would do in this situation. You already have an idea of where they would go with it, what that character
Yeah.
would do. I think that to me is immeasurably helpful. It's just really a lot easier.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Eric, what's going on? Yeah. So Eric, another collaborator of mine who I've done some covers and stuff for, and commissions for. So that's a smart way to go, and that's how Eric tries to do it. Eric is also a independent publisher like yourself, and also is a creator and has to take on a few different roles. So let's talk about a little bit about that. Let's check in with the Kickstarter real quick. I am I am $11 away. We get that to 250. I have to come up with a name for our special edition just for fun. We're just doing that for fun.
Is that
So
right? So we're that close to
that close. We're
meeting our goal?
$11. So
Oh,
who can
Mallet.
take us to that 2,250? Who can take us there? Then I have to come up with a fancy gnome aesthetic name. So no aesthetics. Okay. Um, so let's talk about one of your other publishing endeavors, and then I want to draw some parallels because we're talking about creative process and just kind of the roles we play, as well as expectations, as well as the grind, and all that. So let's talk about the Columbus Scribbler. For those that don't know, what is the Columbus Scribbler?
The Columbus Scribbler is a free comic book newspaper uh, that we distribute for free throughout the city. I'm one of the editors with Steve Steiner and Brian Canini. The goal of it is really just it's a there's a two-part goal. One of it is to highlight the work of local creators here in the city. The other part is just to educate the general public about just to get people more into comics, just people who are not interested. Um, it's really strange that comics seem like a no-brainer to me, but people don't, typically kind of look down on comics on some
Mhm.
level because it's not like prose or whatnot. But we really, but I mean, it's images and words, so we're really, I mean, it's always kind of surprising that when somebody tells me that they're not really into it. You can,
Oh,
as you're kind of pulling up, you
yep.
can purchase the latest issue for $5 and we'll send it to you. Right now we don't have any, we do have some copies available for purchase, but I think all the distributed copies are already out. But if you throw us $5, we will send one in the mail to you. You can also look at it for free right there underneath archives. You can look at the latest issue, and a lot of our past articles. Hi, JB. Thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, JB, of CXC and Mess Comics is in our chat. Thanks for joining us. All these nice covers. It's like a who's who of Columbus-based artists in Ohio that have contributed to the cover as well as the interiors. We also have a kids corner in Columbus Scribbler. So kids corner, I sent a kid over to you at CXC. Because I was talking about their own comic. I was like, there's a newspaper that's local, because they were asking me about stuff, and I was like, check this out.
And you've been in it twice, I think, and you've
twice. I was losing count. So. I know it's been at least twice, minimum. So we stopped presenting, and then I know at least minimally I've been there twice. I feel like it's been more than twice, or I've just
you may have been. I lose track. After 11 of them, I could have
right. Yeah, this has been going since what, 2018, right?
We're just past our 5 years, so
okay. And this was also, by the way, everyone, this was nominated for an Eisner, twice, 2 Eisners. Okay, the first year, if I'm not mistaken.
The first year,
right? Yeah,
first issue.
And then so JB wants to know about submissions, and not weird. And
we're
about to talk about that. So, what's the news on submissions? When can people try to submit for the next volume?
So all submissions for the next issue are due in by January 27th. If you want to submit, you can go to our website. There's a spot that kind of gives you an idea of what to do. We don't really ask for a whole lot. If you want to just kind of give us a short spiel about what you're trying to do, if you a couple sentences, if you have a page layout, or if you have any sort of ideas, that is fantastic. Thank you for posting those. You can send us a page layout if you kind of want to give us a better idea, or hopefully if you want to give us an idea of what your style is, that would be helpful. We really go by, we give priority to Columbus people and to people who have not been in it before. Those are kind of the 2 things that we give the highest level of priority for. But otherwise, that's it does. Even if neither of those things apply, you should still submit, because why not?
Now, what's the age age rating as far as like level of type of like content wise that you would accept, so people know not to send some things that may not be a good fit?
Yeah, well, we pretty much, you can submit most anything, but we are a family friendly newspaper, so we try and keep it, no cursing, no nudity, that sort of thing. We also we tend to shy away from subjects that are a bit divisive, because the scribblers our whole goal is to get everybody and as many people as we can into the love of comics. So we tend to stay away from hot button issues, I guess, is the best way.
And I know, because I've tested this out myself.
You have.
So I've got my latest copy right here. So I love newspaper comics, and newsprint is almost like, I want to say, oh, do I? What?
Yep,
I did it again.
You got it.
I thought I had it ready not to do that, and I still did it. So anyways,
cover by Brian Moss, a great cover. Yep. Fantastic work.
Yep. So from Abrams, Megascope, and so cool. So that's another thing that is in the works. And let's get back to the Kickstarter. Let's see where we're at on that Kickstarter. So, so Ben mentions that Ian and himself are talking about doing a sequel to their submission from last issue. So there we go. So
send them in.
Do it. You got till January. I don't know if I will submit. I'm trying to think, what do I have that's all ages or age appropriate, not a hot button issue, because that's kind of the world I like to play in, but
we are, I think we try and go by Simpsons standards, I think, is where we've kind of gone. So where it's kind of like, not if you would put on the Simpsons, yeah. Well, as far as like age guidelines.
You're not predicting the future.
No, we're not that lucky. We're not that good. Well, maybe, who knows? If we got any precogs in the audience that do comics, and this is
cool. I don't know. Maybe I'll see what I can do. I don't know. I'm actually kind of curious. And this might be a behind the curtain reveal here, but how do you go about choosing the cover artist usually?
The cover artist is usually whoever we decide to do the interview with. So it's the first round. We always ask the person that we do that 10 questions. We usually ask whoever we've decided to do that and if they would be interested in doing the cover along with their 10 questions. And sometimes they do it, sometimes they're not interested, and either way is fine.
Yeah, that makes
Otherwise,
sense.
yeah. I mean, we either if they are not available. I mean, a lot of the people are full-time creators too, so they're working under a lot of other deadlines and whatever. So it's completely understandable if they're not able to make it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So cool. So that you have that one on the thing. Do you have anything else coming out too, as far as any of the projects besides the Gnome Anthology that we're currently talking about for the Kickstarter?
Nothing right now. I'm vaguely right now kind of working on another bunch of short stories for possibly another disposable fiction anthology I've been thinking about for a while, which would have been a lot of fun. And otherwise, I've been working kind of on my next book, but it's a bit of a ways away.
Gotcha.
The general theme is it's a book about professional wrestling. It's a story about. I mean, the general elevator pitch is just think Space Jam meets professional wrestling. It's
interesting.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of wrestling fans out there. I know there's a market for that out there.
Yeah.
What we need is a market for these gnomes. So let's check the Kickstarter. We are currently at, oh my goodness, $2,239. $11 more, and I had to come up with. Okay, I have to sweeten this deal. I can see that you're not motivated yet. I might still come up with a clever name for that. But let me come up with something that will really stick. Okay, so here's what I propose to you, listeners out there. All right, if we can get that goal up to 2,250, why is that number so important? Why am I harping on that number? Well, you know what? I mean, that number just gets us closer to our overall goal of 2,500, right? So I just want another 5 in there. And then I want to get a few more 5s in there. But right now, let's get to 2,250, and then we'll go from there. Because if we get to that, forget about the name. I might come up with a name, who knows? But I'll give you something better than that. If we can get to that 2,250, then I will do within the sticker pack, because I'm going to probably do a set of stickers. Let's face it, right? I will come up with some type of composite gnome, a composite gnome that is suggested by the fans or backers. You have to be a backer though. That's a caveat. You have to be a backer of this Kickstarter, and then I will take suggestions, and then I will like do this kind of thing, fusion, to them together and come up with like one.
So it would be 2 different people that you've compiled into a gnome version.
Not the people. I'm not doing those. I'm not doing gnome portraits. Ben did that on Friday.
Okay. All right.
No, what I'm doing is like they could throw out kind of falling along the lines of the were gnome. So you can give me some kind of weird thing, and I have to basically cross Genesis like that with a gnome. So
you're gonna gnomify something.
I'm gonna gnomify something. It might look like a garbage pail kit when I'm done, but I mean, And if I get like more than one idea, like who knows? Maybe like they're so good that I end up doing a whole set of 5 or 6, whatever the number sticker packs that we're doing, and that's a stretch goal. You know what I mean? Or so I know Kelsey, our cover artist for the what do you call it? What the gnomes know. Is also doing, I believe, a sticker pack already, and is our go-to sticker artist as well as a cover artist. And some of us want to get in on that sticker action because it looks too fun. It's kind of like the prompt. When the prompt came by, we're like, yeah, I'd like to be a part of this. I'd like to draw some gnomes, or I'd like to write some gnomes. And so, yes, if we can get that number, that amount a little bit more higher, $11 more, and I'm coming up with a gnome that's kind of like collaborative with other people that have pledged to the campaign. So let's see. Nope. Oh, still not there yet. So yeah, $11 more, and I'm doing a hybrid gnome. So Yeah, so I'm putting my art on the line, everybody, and I'm also bringing in collaborators, which is you, if you're a person that pledged. That's $11 more. $11 gets you the digital. With at 10, you get the digital PDF copy of this book, and then you can always add on other things at the end. So just at the $10 level, you're getting a copy, electronic version of this with the Gnomes Know. So that's
Mhm.
definitely worth it, especially if you want to help a bunch of creators. And I believe stretch goal wise, Ben can correct me, and I don't want to misspeak, but Ben can correct me in the comments. If we get to our minimal, meet our goal and the stretch, I almost said stretch marks. I'm sorry, stretch goals kick in. Have I been saying stretch marks this whole time, by the way?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
If you have, I haven't been catching it.
Oh
No,
wow,
but
what a slip. Okay. Crap. Okay. So just when I'm talking about that, we are. Hold on. You know what? I haven't refreshed the page. Oh my gosh, Jack, what is wrong with me? Have we been there already?
I don't know. But
Hold on, I'm refreshing the page. Okay, no, it still says 2000. Oh, damn, the ticker just went up. Okay, $10, 2,249. Guess what? We're $1 away from me doing a collaborative version of a hybrid gnome. One more dollar will get us some Hunter sticker art that's collaboratively done with, I don't know, a who's who of people that have pledged. So, JB, we just need one more dollar. You've helped them. JB has helped them. So we just hit 2,249. One more dollar, and I'm drawing me a sticker, or I'm drawing you a sticker because yeah. So it wouldn't let you do $11. Oh man. So
well,
we don't have the dollar thing there, do we? Yeah. Okay. So some other brave soul has to engorge themselves with $10 for a PDF copy of this book, and then you also get well, I guess I'll just do 5 stickers or 6 stickers, whatever. Ben, I don't know what the sticker pack is. What number? How many stickers would I have to do if I commit to this? What am I getting myself into, Ben? Um, how many
you're
stickers do I
already in
do?
it. No, it doesn't matter now. You're already
Yeah,
in it.
I
You've
am. All
already
right.
pledged it here live in front of everybody.
Yeah. Well, no, we're $1 away though. Like we have to, it has to get to 2,250. So I also got to think of a title, for that special edition. So
I'm about to go in and do it myself, just to watch you do it.
So yeah, so if you've already pledged and you're in the comment section, you want to see these goals happen, see these at risk on the fly weird promises that I just keep coming up with, then you should share the campaign around on your various social medias so that way you can get one of your friends or one of
Hmm.
your acquaintances to pledge to this campaign, and then I guess I'm drawing some stickers too. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe JB goes and says, "Hey, I want a mess style gnome." So you can be a part of the sticker packs with only one, but we're putting a total of 6 stickers in each pack. Okay, so this is it. It's only one sticker I'm doing. Okay, I don't. So I'm only doing one sticker, and this sticker is going to be a collaborative effort taken from whoever gives me the ideas that's pledged, and then I'll. So this might be a very mutant-esque gnome by the time I'm done.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds.
So yeah, this might be like a Toxic Avenger type of deal
That's
happening,
exactly what I was thinking. Toxic
right? Yeah.
Avenger. No, that
And
would be
I can draw ugly.
fantastic.
Ugly is my superpower. So I mean, I might, yeah. So let's see what we can let's get this thing up to. Let's see. Okay, right now it's 2,249,
I mean,
and
I don't
yeah,
know. I
okay,
guess
that's
he wears a Christmas hat. I could see him in a gnome hat, maybe. I
yeah.
mean, that would
Oh,
work.
my son's waiting for this Santa movie where he's like Die Hard and Santa meets,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
and it's
Hmm.
Hopper from Stranger Things is
Right.
playing the role
Yeah, it
of
looks pretty
Santa.
great.
Yeah, it looks awesome. So yeah, but let's getting back to you and your work and the anthology. Um okay, let's talk about that. We covered the scribbler, we
Hmm.
covered disposable fiction, and then we've covered the anthology. So you have a role in these 3 different formats: one as a writer, as a contributor; one as a publisher and writer and head honcho. One person operation, as you called it, for disposable fiction, with a nice amount of output. And then you have a co-publisher role with the Columbus Scribbler. Did I get all that right?
Yeah, I will say though, for the my stuff, the disposable fiction, I do have a partner that I work with. His name is Chris Allen.
Okay.
He's a Welsh artist. He does all of the coloring and lettering for all the
Okay.
words that you see in there. So all the colors and letters for any of that stuff, that is all for um, that's all done by him. So
Okay.
it's me and him, and then we kind of pick up an artist for some of the other.
Gotcha. Yeah. So my bad. I don't want to leave out the
Oh
colors
no,
because
it's all
yeah,
good. I just want to make sure he gets a shout
yeah,
out.
definitely. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Is his info on the website?
Yeah, he's on there.
Okay.
If you look under the about part, he's another part of that.
Okay then. So I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat for those of you that want to check out Jack and Chris's work and other artists. So the question I want to get to is regarding your role as a contributor versus publisher. So what is it like? Well, let's forget the contributor. Let's just go from publisher to publisher. So you have Disposable. Is there any differences? What are the differences for people that like to know the behind the scenes stuff and how our industry works? What are the differences between publishing your own imprint with Disposable Fiction and hiring your artists as well as working with Chris versus co-publishing an anthology style newspaper like the Columbus Scripper, where you have a team of co-publishers and then you have all these different types of submissions coming in for those that are just kind of wondering, like what are some differences and maybe pros and cons to either?
I think I think that they would be everything that you would expect. So one of the nice things when you're working when it's me and Chris and we've got an idea, like if I've got an idea for a script, I will just do whatever I want to, whether it's good or bad. I will just throw the script together, and if I'm controlling everything and I'm the guy paying, then whatever I say is however it comes out. So whether good, bad, or different, it's kind of, I mean, and not to take full credit. Obviously, the artist gets a lot of credit for the design of the page and the character looks and a lot of that stuff. So it's always a collaborative effort, no matter how you get away with it. But I think one of the other but as opposed to the scribbler, we are pretty good about being a team about things, where we have a meeting every week. We talk, about everything that is going to be coming out from our next issues to what we're going to plan into. I often have really insane ideas that they kind of talk me down from, and that's great because
Okay.
I will pitch stuff and they both look at me and go, right, I don't see that working, and I'm like, yeah, and then they're usually right. It doesn't mean
I don't know. I think you're like kind of crazy. I think that's why we work together, because I do the same thing.
Yeah, but I also have a tendency to overcommit and be like, "Oh, this sounds awesome. I'm definitely." And then it's just like, "Why did I do this? This was insanity." So, luckily, we do have somebody who and everybody kind of shares the load on that, and that part is really great. And Chris and Brian are both, or I'm sorry, Steve and Brian are both tremendously wonderful to work with. They're really it's a great team to be a part of, and so I'm very thankful that they're still doing it after all this time. I think there's different, and we all, and those two things have different goals. Whereas the disposable fiction stuff, I'm really only trying to tell the stories that I want to tell, whatever mood I feel like. Whereas the scribbler's goal is really much more based in education and much more based in what we and highlighting the local comics community. So I mean, as long as we're kind of serving those two goals, it's not. My stuff is tremendously different outside of the scribbler than it is inside the scribbler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I write a lot of articles and I write a lot of. I do the meet the people and so the humanities part of it, but and my own stuff is a lot more political, a little bit more just all over the board, and sometimes it can and a lot more fantasy based. So kind of playing in those two realms it's kind of nice. You kind of get a real world versus fantasy.
I always say, why stick to one sandbox when there's so many around and you can just hopscotch around all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with that, but I don't know. I think you also kind of, I don't know. Some people really like doing one style of work, and that's the one thing you look at, and it doesn't negate that they're anything. You know Joel Kramer. He does
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Adventures of
love
Hansi
Joel.
and Joel.
Yeah, Joel's a
Me
nice
too.
guy.
Joel's
Yeah.
fantastic. And so Joel's on. I think, man, I forget how many books he's
Oh,
into. But
quite a bit. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he's like
Joel's a machine.
somewhere.
Yeah,
He is. He's in
yeah,
some like book 30 or
yeah,
something.
yeah. I was
Of
thinking 30 something as well. Okay.
uh,
Yeah.
and I love those books. I do. I think that he's a really talented guy. And even when you look at his pages are, you know,
Mm.
they're like 9, 10, 12 panel pages. Anyway, my point of bringing up Joel was just that, Joel's been working on the same thing and working with the same characters for so
Mm.
long. He really knows all of them and is able to commit to them. I've never really found a whole lot of satisfaction or I've always kind of wanted to jump around more and not
Same
really
here.
being tied down to any
Yeah.
particular brand or style.
Well, fair play to Joel and those people who stick with a certain type of format, story, set of characters, or
Mm-hmm.
universe world building. Because what you get to see then, the plus side to that is that watching them improve their craft and then watching
Mm-hmm.
things mature and just get better usually, as they prolong and find their voice and find their
Mm-hmm.
footing. The con to what we like to do, which is jumping around in the sandboxes, is sometimes you can trip. And
Mm-hmm.
in my case, I tend to fall on my face a lot. But I mean, I learn from doing, or even if it means I fail sometimes. So there's definitely a downside to what I do. But you strike me as somebody that's kind of like in the middle, like you at least look at where you're stepping before you step. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As to me, I'm like, I'm going that way. So follow me.
Well, and
So
I think the other part of that, and the other part of that is, I think, how much what you're, even when I was doing Frankenstein for Mayor,
mhm.
like that project took me years, took several
Yeah.
years for me to get there to get that completed. I think that, but the one thing I realized going and trying to do actual big, larger works, graphic novels, sort of thing. Is that when you do get into that and you do get into a set of characters, you give them, you're able to provide them a lot more life. You're able to give
Mhm.
them arcs. You're able to give them and watch them change over a series of time, which is really, I mean, that's great storytelling if you can kind of get that in there. Whereas when you're doing like 6-page shorts, you really can't. You can't add that same level of craftsmanship to
Yeah.
characters that they're really based on. Hey, here's just a quick idea and this kind of neat and your characters. Even in our pages, Buck Regal gets to do it, and there is some growth and change of him and Bella, of the main character, where they kind of cross paths in that way.
Yeah.
Um, but you are not able to really do that in that same fashion when it's it just you, the longer it gets, the more you get to kind of play with that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. To cater to harken back to our story that's in the anthology. Again, we're talking about what the Gnomes Know, which is an anthology that's currently live on Kickstarter that both Jack and I have contributed a story to, as well as many other creators that you have to check out. It is definitely worth your time. Let's give some love to the gnomes. We're at 2,249. Our goal is to get to 2,500 to get this funded. There are add-ons and other type of anthologies. If you are a cryptid fan, I believe that is in play with the first anthology that Canonwright put out, and that is also available as an add-on, and stickers are available as an add-on. But going back to our story, Jack, first question regarding our story is, out of the two styles, you mentioned that you have kind of like two approaches to doing stuff with the Scribbler versus disposable fiction comics. Where would you place Buck Regal, our story, the trial Buck Regal? Which one? Which would you say is which Jack are we getting? That's kind of
this
what
is
I want to
definitely
know.
a disposable fiction, Jack.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, cool.
because it's. I approach this story in a lot of the ways that I wanted to. When you had like a short story that you're that
Mhm,
this would be a story that you would read on the website. That's pretty much this is
mhm.
definitely in that wheelhouse.
Gotcha. You know what? I enjoyed the little bit corner of our universe so much that I initially thumbnailed like 11 pages, and I was like, I still didn't feel like I got the whole story in there. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh my God, this is going to turn into a graphic novel if I don't stop. So that's when I approached you and said, hey, we don't have the time to do something like this in the method that I'm currently trajectorying. What
Mhm.
if we went with more of a narrative prose style, like it was like a letter, you know? Um, and then we did spot illustrations to kind of like emphasize those key points and those like a snapshot. And then you could basically get your wordplay going, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, so that was a little bit of a curveball that I threw into our own bullpen whatnot. But I don't know if I'm using terminology right. I don't play baseball. I watch UFC. Or no, I'm kidding. But yeah, I can't throw a ball straight. um, uh, so yeah, so I guess even with the pros, we're at 9 pages, and
Mhm.
I still felt like there's more to tell. I have more to show. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so like
Right.
don't be surprised if some kind of expanded, different format version of this comes out sometime down the line, you know.
Mhm.
And I don't know. Jack, do you think Buck Regal and Bella and the Gnomes have more stories somewhere in there to tell? Is there like do you think is this chapter closed in regards to this particular story, no matter what format it comes out in later on? But or do you think there's other stories like that possible with these characters, like whether it be a prequel or whether it be
I
no
I think if
specific.
we I think if I wouldn't make it a prequel. No, I would make it a sequel.
Okay,
Whereas I
okay.
think if we're gonna do it, I'm trying to
You
think.
want to move
Like,
forward.
did you ever forward? Did you ever watch? Yeah, I mean, have you watched the Planet of the Apes movies? Not the recent ones, but like
Yeah,
the
no, I'm old
old
school.
school.
I've watched them
Yeah,
all. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Especially the
So
old ones. Yeah, I love the old ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, the typical thing, and I think the way that if we were to do it, the way to expand it is,
Mhm.
or Crocodile Dundee, another good example of it,
Yeah.
where you take we've already had, Buck Regal in their world and in
Yeah.
Bella's world. You know what I mean? And
Uh,
I think if we were going to do a sequel to it, you would have to Crocodile Dundee it and have them come into our world. I guess so. Instead of,
hmm.
does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I think if you're
That
going to do it rather than fish out of water, it would be the opposite, fish out of water.
Gotcha, gotcha. That could be very interesting. Okay, all right. Cool. So if there's a little nugget there, maybe we'll see that germinate into something else. Maybe we'll see a little seed
Sure.
turn into another tree. You know what I mean? So but yeah, I enjoy drawing these characters. I would love to flesh them out more and draw them again, in a few different styles. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And see them in a few different formats later on down the line. But for right now, though, for those of you who are just tuning in, you can check out Buck Regal, the trial of Buck Regal, right now in What the Gnomes Know, which is a comics anthology, gnome themed, but coming from multiple viewpoints and different takes on what a gnome is and gnome culture in general. So right now we're at 2,249. Let me refresh the page and see if I'm obligated to do a collaborative sticker. Nope, not yet. So far I'm in the clear, on title and that sticker. But if you want to see me sweat a little bit, well, no one wants to see me sweat. Why did I say that? I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize to our listeners. But yes, if you want to see so Ethan from from
Agreed.
CX3 is my brother. Let's put your comment on the thing. My brother's OG Planet of the Apes is the best sci-fi franchise. Yes, yes, I agree. It's one of the bangers. I still can watch the old stuff and still enjoy it.
Yeah,
And you
there's
know what?
a.
I have to put a Statue of Liberty. If you write that, we're putting some kind of Statue of Liberty. It's just gonna be a little
Yeah,
toy or something. You know.
I forget which one it is that there's like a bunch of underground people that all have telekinesis or
Oh
telepathy,
yeah.
and they worship a nuclear bomb. It's
Is it
real weird.
beneath the Planet of the
It gets
Apes?
real weird.
Isn't it beneath the Planet of the Apes?
It might be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it goes in some weird.
it does. Yeah,
Yeah,
it gets
yeah,
out there. It gets
yeah.
very out
So
there.
I'm actually a fan of the Nomeo movies as well. You know what I mean? So the
The what?
Nomeo and Juliet with the long
No,
names. Oh, they're great. They're like I have kids, so I watch these, all the CG animated stuff. So there's two
yeah,
movies of it, and they're actually pretty clever and they're funny. Um,
Romeo and
so
Juliet. That's
yeah, Nomeo and
that's
Juliet. Yeah, it's
that's
probably
really
like
good.
free now because it's been out for a while. And then
Yeah.
there was a Sherlock Gnome as well as a sequel. So So if you want to see like gnomes put into the real world and then taken into different, different takes on them, I think that
Mm-hmm.
those would fit the criteria. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I would love to definitely approach a sequel with some nods to some retro sci-fi and
Mm-hmm.
fantasy. Some nostalgia would be funny. So
Yeah, I think so in all truth, I don't know that much about gnomes, and I often get them kind of confused with like trolls, I
yeah,
think. Or so trolls are the ones that like sit underneath bridges and take your money for collection of payment, I'm pretty sure.
Trolls gonna feel. We actually had an expert on the first launch of our Kickstarter for the with the Gnomes Know. We had
Yeah.
people that were native to the region where gnomes came from. Whether it
Yeah,
be
I was there.
Germany and
Yeah.
Sweden, and
Uh-huh.
and they were just giving us knowledge. Like it was crazy how much knowledge they were giving us. And then
Hmm.
and that was really fun. It was like a nomopedia or something like that happened like in the chat. Real quick regarding the Scribbler, I feel like it'd be really cool to have the Scribbler team maybe whenever. I'm assuming that the next issue, once that's on its way to being wrapped up, is going to be a Kickstarter as well
Are you
for
asking me
funding
if
for
they're
funding it. Yeah, I'm asking.
not usually, yeah, and we don't
Oh,
usually
okay.
fund. We don't usually kickstart the Scribbler, or at least we didn't. We haven't for the we did the first one, but we
You
haven't
did,
done
yeah.
that yet.
Okay,
Um, it's
okay,
mainly been funded through a lot of ads and through our pockets.
nice. Nice and ouch. So
It's what it is.
what I'm proposing is that the Scribbler team come by for an interview, and that way we can
Oh,
kind of like get all three of your viewpoints and see kind of like who does what, and three different personalities, but yet have come together to put out a really nice publication. Whether or not we do that and get with Ethan in our chat for the Columbus Cartoonist Coalition for an interview sometime with being local based,
yeah,
or I do the duties later on, I know that between us all, we would love to talk with you all about the Scribbler and all that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
especially a newspaper. Newspaper comics are almost like an eclectic thing now, right? I mean,
Hmm.
to put out a newsprint feature, an anthology of comics, is something that used to be the norm, which is not the norm anymore. So people would love to probably hear how it's being done today and how
Hmm.
you all are navigating what used to be a commonplace, and the trials as well as the rewards of putting out a publication like that. So
Well, I mean, it
yeah.
wasn't. I mean, it wasn't even really. It's not even not really an original of an idea. When we looked at a bunch of them that already
Wait,
existed.
spoilers! Time out! Spoilers! We'll get to that when we do the interview. But yeah,
Okay.
okay. I don't want, but I will shout out Magic Bullet, and some other ones
Yeah,
that have come before. Yeah, yeah.
I
But
actually
still,
talked.
did you
I
talk to him?
actually talked with one of the guys from Magic Bullet who when for CXC.
Uh,
When CXC reception opened, one of the guys from Magic Bullet was there, and we were just kind of talking about what it's like to put on a paper, and those guys also. I think they were putting out 5,000 copies every
in
issue or
in
something, and they
color,
were
in color, if
in
you
color.
remember.
Yeah, so they
Yeah,
were really. But
Matt Dembicki out of DC used to
yeah.
come to Space all the time and be at the Laughing Ogre for the pre-party. Used to
Hmm.
attend Space every year as a creator. Was also on the team that put out Magic Bullet,
Hmm.
the newspaper, which was really thick anthology of
Yeah.
comics. And so I'm not sure if Matt showed up at CXC. If he did, I didn't see him, or if it was somebody else from that team, because I know it's like a DC cooperative that
Hmm.
runs that usually. So
Yeah, I think there's
yeah.
four people if I
Yeah,
remember.
and I'm not sure if Matt's still a part of it because I haven't talked to Matt in a while.
Yeah.
But Matt used to be a regular in our Columbus scene of space. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, you and I navigate a lot of different circles within the Columbus cartoonist and comics area. We're both members of the Columbus Cartoonist Coalition. We're both multiple time exhibitors at Space, CXC, Cartoon Crossroads of Columbus, as well as some other shows here and there. Those fly by night shows that come by and are going to be the biggest thing, and then they don't come back. You know what I mean? So
Right.
yeah, it's kind of funny watching how this goes. Let's go and post Ethan's. Yeah, so let's see if we. Okay, so there we go. You have an invite. The
I
Columbus
see that. Thanks,
has an
Ethan.
invite to uh, cartoon. The Columbus. It's such a tricky thing to say, and I trip over my words. CX3, aka Columbus Cartoonist Coalition. Yeah, it looks like Ethan and crew will do the honors of eventually talking to you three. That'd be awesome for Columbus to meet the other Columbus and to talk about the whole production and everything like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there we go. I've done my part and set up the feature. But so let's check on our Kickstarter real quick and see where we're at. We are at 2,249. We're still there. We need to get that moving, everybody, because you got to check out the little video for the What the Gnomes Know Comics Anthology. Support your independent creators and all that. Jack, we're about a quarter after the hour. Is there anything that you want people to know about? Actually, is there any questions in the comments section, real quick, regarding Jack and my approach to doing our our part of the anthology, the Trial of Buck Regal? Feel free to ask. Otherwise, how does it feel from your point of view doing contributing to anthologies when you're not in charge, when you're not in the director's publisher's chair, you're just a contributor? Like I'm assuming, is it freeing? Is there more nerves?
Great. No,
Yeah.
it's so much easier.
All right.
You just do the thing and then you ship it off. You go, here's the thing, and then hopefully they're man, they have to herd all the cats. All I've got to do this time is just do the story, which is
you got to herd the hunter, and that's a full-time job, as my wife can tell you. So sometimes I can be all over the place. So let's see. I did want to ask you, as far as you working with so many different artists for Disposable Fiction Comics, and then you seeing the submissions that come in from the Scribbler, and then you working on anthologies with me and other people. What's it like when the art comes in for you? Explain to the would-be writers out there that when they collaborate with a creative team and they're writing, but then they're waiting for their.
So you're asking, like, when I send out a script to somebody and then it comes back.
Yeah, when when you finally start seeing the artwork,
that's the fun part. I mean, that's really the best part of doing the whole thing, because you get to be able to create, because in your mind, when you are working with somebody, you have this idea of what you get to think that it should look like. And a lot of the times, not being an artist, the person who's doing the work is usually way better at coming up with that than you are, because they've already got a much more eye for design, a much more. I can't tell you the number of times that somebody's come back and been like, you put too many panels in this page, or if you're putting in too much dialogue, or you should break this up, and this is how it should look. And then they do it. Or after a while, I mean, when you get to work with somebody, I think you also get to work with somebody after a while. When you feel really comfortable with collaborating with them. Sometimes, I mean, I've worked with artists for, when you're working with somebody for years on end, and they're like, yeah, I just did this because it worked better. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, it's just so much better. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, I don't know why I thought that would work.
A symbiotic relationship and creative solutions start to happen. Yeah.
I think the only time, I mean, and when I'm working with people, I'm very open to whatever suggestions.
Yeah, to your credit, I can confirm that. Yeah, because I would throw some stuff at you, and you're like, other than no, got to turn them around. But for the most part, you're like, hey, that looks good, cool. I'm like, damn, okay, this is weird. You know what I mean?
Well, most of the time, I'm open to whatever anybody wants to do, and like I let the design portion or the art portion go to them. Whatever they decide I'm usually okay with it. The only time I usually am not is if it affects the story. Yeah. If that person has to have a carton of milk in their hand in the next panel, they better be reaching for it or whatever. You know what I mean? It's gotta. Yeah. If it's gonna throw the process off, or if they're not gonna have the thing in their hand that they're supposed to have in the next thing, then you kind of those are kind of key points that you kind of have to pick out, or consistency's sake, stuff like that. But most of the time, yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. No, that's great. One of the problems I found is that as an artist, taking from somebody's script, and even in your case, because as you said, sometimes you could put like too many panels in, right? So then when I was sitting there having to decide how was I going to break down the page, there would be like, you know what? There was some things that I didn't want to cut. And I was like, I really want to see this moment. And that's when the page count started getting bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to cut this. I don't want to cut this, but I need to make some decisions here. I need a creative solution to make this all fit on the page, you know, or within the time frame that we had. And then in some cases with the publisher, you don't have that luxury of being able to just expand the page count. You know what I mean? Like that's one nice thing about working with independent publishers, is that when we're all Team Comics, we're all kind of like a little bit more fluid and open, because at the end of the day, we just want something that's really nice to come together, and we're not really into like too much control or as far as stifling the other person's creativity or creative solution, you know, and stuff like that. So, yeah, so that was kind of a nice problem to have. So in a way, go ahead.
Do you find that when you're working on a project on your own, that things tend to blow up in size? Like, because I've had that happen where my goal will be to create a 24-page comic, and then it's like that.
Before I know it, there's 24 volumes. And
right?
Like
yeah,
Lord of the Rings extended edition plus pictures, and I've already thought about all the different media it can go through. Yeah, I have that stupid like Kirby universe building brain, and it's like I could take a seed, and because I'm such a fan of like existentialism and Western philosophy and webbing. Everything starts to web, and then it's like the universe behind you, you know, that image behind you, where it's like I'm just playing astrology and connecting stars, you know, I mean,
right? Yeah, trying to keep up with it.
Like I am my own worst enemy. Like full disclosure, I'm my own worst enemy. So I need to clone myself to even touch a 20% of what I want to accomplish with
right.
Yeah. So that's why it's nice to work with someone else sometimes, where it's like, okay, you know. Like I made a joke a while ago. I'm kind of like Goku with the spirit bomb. I have to absorb all this energy, keep absorbing this energy from everyone around me, from the universe, from all the things. And then once it's big enough, then I can say go and launch it. And then when it goes, it's gonna be like boom, you know.
Right.
So you saw how I adjusted the speed, you know. So hey, we got Yvette in the chat. Hey Yvette.
Hi, Yvette.
We're on for about 10 more minutes. You have 10 more minutes with us, everybody. 10 more minutes to jump in live and get mentioned in about the Kickstarter if you pledge. We're looking to get over this 2000. Oh my gosh. Oh crap. Okay, it's 2,380. I just refreshed the page. We're at 2,384. We're almost at the 2,500 mark. So that means I am drawing a gnome sticker collaboratively with people that have pledged. And I don't know what kind of gross gnome we're going to get out of it when I'm done. And I also have to come up with a name for that special edition, right? So
that's right. Yes.
Oh man, this one's going to suck, because I started putting more brain power towards the sticker idea. I started thinking like Gnome-tacular special edition. Like, you know, I started calling these little adjectives or, gnome type of stuff. Though I don't want to waste our last few minutes on this, so I'm going to go and do a cop out. And I want to say our special edition should be named our special edition tier of the 130 early bird special that only has 3 hours to go, which is an early bird special edition, which includes a copy of What the Gnomes Know, along with a discounted copy of the cover poster. The hardcover book comes with a handmade book sleeve and a book plate with original illustration. So you're getting original art with this, by the way. Free shipping, so shipping's on us. And then you also get the PDF copy for your devices too. So yeah, that's at the early bird special edition, aka Gnome-tacular special edition is what I'm calling it right now. So that's my thing. Hopefully I draw a better gnome sticker than the name I just gave to it. Green booger gnomes. Ned Flanders, I think you know my aesthetic. Ned Flanders is in green booger gnomes. So Ned, if you contributed to the Kickstarter, you can probably weigh in with that option, and I might use that. So I didn't even ask permission from our publishers. I just decided to come up with this perk all of a sudden. Yeah, oops. Yeah, it's because I'm a rebel dolly.
There you go.
in the movie. I want to mention. Let's see, Yvette. I'm gonna put you on real quick. See, Yvette is works with Lone Crow Printing, which is a local printer, which I've gotten a lot of my stuff done lately with Lone Crow. So shout out to Lone Crow, Yvette, and Fred. Excuse me.
Also a pretty cool creator in her own right. I remember a lot. I remember the one that she did for the Coffee and Comics one, the country song one.
Yeah,
her artwork was spectacular.
I have an Yvette story. Okay, I have an Yvette origin. Okay, so my first foray into prints, business cards, and having merch and products on my table. I just came back to doing conventions in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that it was a print game now. So I had to do all this new stuff for it, right? I didn't know how to do Photoshop or InDesign. I didn't know Adobe. I was like, I had a blind spot with it. And it was because of Yvette who helped me with my business cards, with my getting my prints formatted and printed right. Also helped my anthology, which was on BAM2, a 400 plus page anthology, get over to the finish line so we can actually put it into print and publish it. 4 years in the making. And we had a couple other designers, Barry, who also helped out a lot, and David Anna was my co-editor on it. But Yvette finally helped us get to at the end of the finish line after Barry did his part. So Yvette has been a longtime collaborator of mine. Anytime I'm stuck on Adobe or I have a blind spot, I know more Adobe now. I went and got a graphic design degree, but it was Yvette that was holding me down, for the longest time. So yes, if you have pre-press questions or things of that nature, ask Yvette. Well, Yvette is also a great writer, a great editor, a great writer. So fixed my grammar when I used to write for the Indie Hunter. Check out Yvette and ask what Yvette's consulting or freelance rates are, and maybe Yvette can help you get your project across the finish line. Nice. Okay, so Yvette, if you have some point of contact information you want to drop in the comment section, feel free to do that, and I'll throw it on the ticker here. Jack, we're almost out of time. We got about 3 to 5 minutes left, and holy crap, that Kickstarter really just kind of jumped up. Like, we are close to our goal overall.
Is that right? Wow.
Forget about my little sticker perk I throw in there. We are let's see, if I were to round that up, we're basically 220. I suck at math, that's why I'm an artist. 220 away from our goal of just hitting funding for this project. Then we can talk about stretch goals.
120.
So thank you. 120. Oh, see, this is why Jack is counts and I don't. I just draw 120. Yeah, don't go to me for math, everyone. Sorry. I can do words though. I have the best words. Lone Crow Printing. So Yvette says, hit Yvette and them up at Lone Crow Printing, and they'll get you across the finish line in regards to your project's print things. So yes, I feel like our time here, talking to you, Jack, was well worth it. We talked about some process, and you have a lot of insight. But people don't know what got you into comics. Besides, we know about how you got to Columbus, but how did you get into the comics? What was the book or series, or what was the thing that made you, even if it wasn't comics, what was it that said, I'm gonna work in this medium?
Oh man, I honestly, I thought it couldn't be that hard.
Okay, I'm usually the one that's kind of like, you know what I mean?
I was like, well, I liked writing, and I thought that I was like, man, writing is like, but I didn't want to do all the descriptions just so long, and plus I feel like, yeah, I feel like like prose writing to me is a little bit, I don't know, it just feels pretentious in some way. Not that it is. I mean, not that it isn't.
It can.
Comics, yeah, it absolutely can be. Yeah. But comics always seem like fun. Like all the comics that I was always reading, they just always seemed like they were going to be. Comics were always just a blast to read. There was, you had like slow comics and whatnot, but most of the time they were big and really always gregarious and just a lot of and very interesting. Something was always, it didn't seem to take itself too seriously. but I think getting in, but so I'll tell you the short version of the origin story is
Sure. It's your
I
time.
started going, I was going into, I had written a graphic novel. Me and my brother had this idea that we thought was going to be a great graphic novel. I wrote it out, but I had never figured out a script or how to write scripts. So I found myself like finding, going to like comic book shops and getting comics. And then sometimes if you're really lucky, or if you went to the library, you would be able to get stuff that had like scripts in the back of like
the back matter.
Yeah, right. Of just like, here's how a script. So I would kind of steal those. And then as you kind of get into it, you're more into, you think, oh, well, it can't, writing for the Hulk or something, it seems like it would just be cake. Anyway, so I started doing these ideas that I thought that would be interesting. And then, of course, trying to find somebody to draw it and do all that stuff was I remember placing up ads for people over at the North Market back when I worked at the North Market, like putting up on the bulletin board, like, hey, artists for hire or something. And it was through that thing. I think eventually what happened is I found other like I don't know if you ever remember like Zwall or Digital Webbing or some of the like Pencil Jack, like they were Pencil old Jack, forums. Yep. Yeah,
I've got art on those, believe it or not.
Oh, I've got posts all over those things.
I don't even know could never tell you who the creator of the character. If I drew it, I have the art somewhere around here, but that's kind of weird. That'd be fun.
So I mean, but they used to have really great writing competitions.
Yes,
they would say, hey, if you guys want to, we're just gonna. They would give you a prompt, and they would want you to make like a 5-page script out of whatever they had done, and I started doing that, and I found that really fun. And I think a lot of those scripts turned into what became my original anthology, my first black and white anthology.
Nice. What was that called? The original anthology?
It was just called Disposable Fiction. Yeah, it was just
nice.
Volume 1. We're on Volume 2, and there may be a Volume 3 in the end. So we're just kind of working on that. But
nice. Okay.
It was just something fun to kind of like I think. It wasn't until much later that I found out how cool the comics community was, and getting into knowing everybody that way. And it was all kind of a soft build for about a decade now of learning how to do all that stuff. I mean, there's so much that I really wish I would have known going into it. And I think that's one of the great things about the Scribbler is that is a resource that I didn't have back then that would have really been very beneficial. But I'm glad to be part of the other end of that, where I get to come out on the other side and talk about the stuff that we found useful. So, yeah.
So this gives me yet another idea, another proposal. What I'm proposing, and I'm going to take this one. CX3 can have the Scribbler team. I'm going to take this one for the DIY Hunter. That's coming back, by the way. You heard it here first.
Okay.
I would love to have Jack, JB, who's in the chat, who does Mess Comics, myself, and maybe a couple of other creators that are writers, and have like a roundtable discussion about the process of writing comics formats, like your approach. What was an obstacle that from prose to script, because that is such a transition. Knowing when enough is written that you've got your point across, and what is too much fluff that the artist does not need, it's just getting in the artist's way, or maybe some artists need more of that fluff so they can fully realize the imagery that's happening. And that would be a fun roundtable discussion of you, JB, and maybe we'll get a couple other writers in there.
Sure. Ken Epstein, Travis Horseman. I can think of a bunch of them.
Let's get some ladies and some other people in there too, though. I'm
just thinking of the ones off the top of my head that I can think of that I know of that are writers.
I would love to get a publisher roundtable, an artist roundtable, and a writers roundtable, and then maybe close it down with a little mixed thing and just kind of see it. That would be some fun process talk. I think that would be some fun discussions.
Grace Ellis is the other one I can think of. So
okay. So let's just kind of see who's interested and comes to mind. But because having a publisher / writer / editor would be a good angle to have, and then pure writer, and then someone that's like maybe a writer artist, and then someone that maybe has only written comics versus someone that's written mostly other stuff and then found their way into comics. So we'll definitely try and find a spectrum of experiences to maybe have that conversation, because I think you and I, as well as some of these other people, can break it down and talk all day long about what it is. Cartoonist roundtable. So maybe Cartoonist Roundtable might find itself having a panel at the upcoming space, that's happening. CX3 is going to be doing some coverage for the Road to Space, and I imagine that we're going to have a few chances to talk about cartooning, comics, and creating. And Bob Corby, let's go ahead and put Bob real quick on the show right here. Bob has an event coming up. That I'm not sure if he's announced yet, so I may not be able to say anything. I've been kind of like just spoiler guy and throwing stuff out there. I should probably check with Bob. Bob, have you gone public with that yet, as far as what's coming up here in the next week or so, about what we're going to be doing, or is that still, oops, did I oops right there? So Bob's probably wondering, what is he talking about? It involves comics. I know that much. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Bob has Comics Anthology. We have the theme. So we're a lot of us are working on that. Space is coming up in spring. And then there's something that's coming up sooner than later that Bob is the Bob father of, as I call him, that we're doing, that I'm a part of, and that has been opened up to the CX3 group as well. You can go into, okay, here's what I'll tell you. Go to the CX3 Discord, okay? If I was smart, I'd have that link ready. And you can find what the project I'm talking about is. Okay, that's coming up. So I don't want to jump into Bob's put the, what's that, horse before the cart, or cart before the horse? One of those things. I don't want to get trampled by my mouth. Okay, so I'm going to fail at getting the link for the Discord because it's still the old Kickstarter on there. So if somebody has the link to the CX3 Cartoon Crossroads, the Cartoon Crossroads, I did it again, Jack. I'm gonna get fired. Okay. Okay. All right. Bob said I can let him know that it's out. Okay. So what we have coming up is Mini Comics Day. Okay. So where Bob, myself, and a few other cartoonists, there might be some spots open. You can check out the CX3 Discord to see the open call where it's announced. But we're looking for a few. Don't have to be good creators to want to draw mini comics for a day. We're going to make a mini comic in a day, and we'll be live streaming that through Bob's channel. So we'll try and maybe get a Facebook or some kind of event going, so that way the public can come and watch us. You can come and go, and people will just be there drawing all day long and at different speeds, creating mini comics. I find it's a fun exercise to try and knock out a story or get something down quick. Kind of like fly by the seat of the pants we were talking about, where you can't really do the whole scripting unless you start scripting now, and then you're kind of just having to make adjustments within an 8-page format of mini comics, which is really small. So that's something coming up. Jack, what do you have coming up?
Well, let's see. We're going to be doing GalaxyCon.
GalaxyCon. Yep.
A lot of the C-Bus Cartoon Coalition is going to be there. I'm doing a table with them, so that should be a lot of fun. I'm kind of excited. That's in December.
That's my birthday, 3rd. December 2nd.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah. December 2nd, that weekend or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
December 2nd through the 4th.
Yep.
Are you going to be doing it there? Are you?
Nah. Unless the table drops in my lap somewhere somehow, I think I might sit that one out.
Gotcha.
Something's gonna happen last minute. I might get all of a sudden. I'm getting old, Jack, and I don't know if I can handle doing a big con like that. I say that, but I don't know. I might just get this like wisp of like energy and want to go to a convention that day. But yeah. So right after Black Friday, Thanksgiving, walk off to Turkey by going to GalaxyCon and checking out this C-Bus Cartoon Coalition group.
Well, I can think Genghis Khan is that weekend as well. If I'm
correct. Bob will be there.
That's a weekend right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and that is I tried to get into that, but even the wait list is full. So
wow.
So hopefully next year Bob will be at Genghis Khan though. Bob Corby, ye old publisher of O Comics, as well as Back Porch and Space. And then let's check in the Kickstarter one last time. I'm rambling. If I'm rambling, I'm kind of like starting to lose my marbles. I'm kind of not being so lucid. We're at 2,384. All right. Your mission, my friends, and spread the word. Those listening and those who are affiliated with those listening and the friends and acquaintances, your granny, your pappy, your cousin Fred, Aunt Jean, whoever, cousin Earl. Let's get this 2,384 to at least 2,420 by midnight tonight. You only have less than 3 hours to get in on those early bird, tiers. That saves you money. You get some great bonuses off of going with the early bird, and then after that, 3 hours tonight after midnight, those early bird things turn into pumpkins, and it's just full price for the tier. But they're still affordable, great tiers, and it's still a project you should back. So let's see if we can get that amount to 4,000. Yeah, let's go for 4,000. Let's just go for it. Okay. So yeah, I'm tripping over my words. It's probably time for me to sign off here. So we've got the Kickstarter. I will go ahead and share Jack's Disposable Fiction real quick. Disposable Fiction Comics. You can find Jack's work, many comics to read for free there. And then we have the Scribbler open submissions right now. Get your submission in by January. If you don't want to submit art or comics to it, but you want to maybe help out the Scribbler, maybe there's some advertising opportunities, get in touch with them. Jack could fill you in on that information. And me, least of all me, this guy right here. You can find me and my work and my efforts at my Ko-Fi site, which is ko-fi.com/jmhunterart. Go ahead, check it out. I'm going to be putting tiers up there and a whole bunch of new stuff. I'm going to drop a bunch of crazy things next week because I just found out I'm not working. So I just realized that it was Thanksgiving week. I totally forgot. So that means I can just throw exclusive comics and artwork and things up on that. So that's what I'll be doing. In addition to working on my CX3 coloring book. Oh, wait a minute. We're back. Some of us are back tomorrow with check out the CX3 live stream. We're going to be drawing and working on our coloring book anthology artwork that we have coming out from the CX3 group. So lots of content for you all. Okay. I have that Discord link. If you want to check out the Discord for CBus Cartoonist Coalition and see the call for Mini Comics Day that Bob has coming up here shortly, as well as the other projects that we have going on, as well as the links to the Kickstarter for what the Gnomes know. Check out that Discord, especially if you are locally in Columbus. Okay. Well, that being said, I think I should wrap this. Jack, thank you so much for joining and putting up with my rambling. The rest of you, nice turnout tonight. Thank you so much for your pledges. Thank you for joining the comment section. It was fun. I have to draw me some really grotesque gnome now. Thanks to some of you. And we will see you soon. Take care.
Thanks, Tyler.
And end broadcast.